See my hilly loaches. Happily. My cardinal tetras. These guys are the Siamese alligators. They're just huge. They like to school with the penguin tetras. You see one of them there. My Madagascar rainbow. I have 4 or 5 of those. And my dwarf rainbow, that's one of the girls. You see the boy in the back, his fins are red with more blue. She's a little paler. Penguin tetra. Rummy nose tetras. Cardinal, glow light. By himself, there's just a couple of those. Lamb chop prospora. Cardinals again, and my one singular neon tetra. He schools with the cardinals. He doesn't know he's not one. Then I've got a mixed shoal of different cories. There's a bronze. Every once in a while a baby shows up. That's my last baby. He's about half the size of everyone else. My favorite fish is my albino longfin bristlenose. He's pretty handsome. Look at him. Those big fins. There's 2 standard male bristlenose in here too, but they are much harder to find. There's some of my Derby cories. And there's some albinos in there somewhere. That's a baby rainbow. Every once in a while, the babies survive. There's one of the albino cories. I have a cory in here that's almost completely black. I think he's some sort of hybrid between the albinos and the greens, or maybe a Serbian and a green. Happens. I mean, this tank isn't set up for breeding per se. My one white cloud minnow. It's not set up for breeding, but you know, every once in a while, fry survives. Considering how many predatory fish there are in here, it's pretty amazing that they make it at all. It's always a really fun tank to watch because there's always fish out and about. You got all the top swimmers with the rainbows, and you see the Siamese alligators schooling back there together. They're definitely the largest fish in the tank. Here's another one of the hill stream loaches. There's probably like 10 of them in here, and you'll see like 1 or 2 occasionally. In this Anubias petite live my coolie loaches. You like never see them. Sometimes the head's peeking out. Oh, there's one right there. See that? His little head's peeking out right above where the cory is. So you see them just peek out for food, but you don't ever see them for anything else. I have lots of different Anubias in here. They're almost all flowering. You see the flowers in the back. One Apontogeton that's just throwing some leaves up. Some crypts. I got some bronze crypts there. And then one, I don't remember the name of this one. I found it just the other day. It's a crypt species that grows super slow and super flat. I want to get some more to put along this section. Would be pretty cool. You can see he just hangs out. Sometimes he's in the back over there. I think one of the other plecos has been kind of using that territory. Just replanted these onto that piece of chula wood with the smaller or medium size there with the big Anubias in the back. So that's, you know, 3 different kinds of Anubias just hanging out. I have really nice spread of all the petite, which is great. One green crypt. I used to have this whole section planted in crypts, but the wisteria in the back grew too high and it got not enough light and they died back. There's some swords in the back behind that piece of driftwood. Of course, my beautiful plant here. I always forget what it's called. It shot out babies right after I planted it in this tank, so I gave one away and I planted another one there. I got this new plant that I'm hoping will, on this piece of chula, will take off. I just think it'd be a nice texture difference. I love the inhabitance because it grows slow and they just slowly fill out. I mean, look at this piece. It started off with just a little bit here, and now it goes all the way out and around. I probably should chop it back there and plant that somewhere else, but I just love how the inhabitance look and the color. But sometimes it's nice to get some different textures in here, so I have a few different stem plants. I really like this one. It's finicky sometimes. The wisteria grows that back one just like crazy. I could cut it all out but 2 stems and I'd get a bush like that in no time at all again. So the substrate, as you see, it's a mix of fine gravel and sand, and then these gems. Those gems started out in a beta tank, like a 5-gallon beta tank, and they've just made it into like every tank I have. And I've thought about pulling them out. They're mostly just in this front section here, but the plecostomus love sucking on them. They love eating the algae and the diatoms and stuff that grow, you know, the little crustaceans that grow in there. So, you know, as long as they're happy, they're my prize fish there. One of the sterbicories with his little yellow fins. They're like one of my favorite. I have another type of cory in here, the salt and pepper cories, but you never see them except when they're out feeding. They tend to hide in the back bushes. A couple more glow lights. I'm just really lucky we can even see one of those coolie loaches. There's, well, I have no idea how many there are, but I mean, I originally put in like a dozen. There's at least 3 or 4 that I come across, but you hardly see them. That's the way of loaches. You got the coolies and the, you actually see more of the butterflies just because you see them sucking on the wood and they hang out on the glass. But, you know, sometimes they're on the bottom of a leaf and you just don't see them. But this is my favorite tank, or they're all my favorite tanks. This is one of my tanks. That inhabitance is trying to get it to grow between these 2 pieces of driftwood, and it's when you aquascape with these beautiful fish, sometimes they don't like where you put something, and so they decide that it does not go there. So we often get, we argue over aquascaping, and I'll put it back and he'll kick it out, and we do that 3 or 4 times, and then he gets used to it being there and he leaves it alone. But great thing about inhabitance, I mean, that plant's just as happy there as if it was stuck between pieces of driftwood, so it's not going to really care. As long as it doesn't get too beat up, it's going to survive. These ones, I super glued them onto the piece of chula, but he, naughty fish, kicked them off. He was chewing on the chula and just ripped them right off. So now they're held on with zip ties. Cool thing about chula is it's got all those holes in it, so you can just work a zip tie right through. And I didn't crank them down super tight. I didn't want to possibly damage the rhizomes, but you can see one right there. And I mean, obviously nothing's ever going to really happen to a zip tie. Biodegradable zip tie is like non-existent. It'll be in there forever, but it also won't cause any problems with the fish. So that's the 75. It has a 20-gallon sump underneath, which I'm sure you can hear. There's my beautiful Madagascars. I actually expected them to be bigger by now. I've had them for about 3 years, and the Siamese algae eaters are like twice as big. There's the one in the back, that Siamese algae eater. She is just so chunky. I'm actually, and there's a few slimmer ones, which I'm assuming are males. So I think I've got 3 females and 2 males, or 1 male and 4 females. So maybe I'll get some breeding activity out of them someday. They definitely shoal like the corys do, and they're kind of frisky. Anyway, I hope you enjoy this tank tour, and I'll show off my next one in a minute.